Today we are talking to Oliver Sopp, welcome, from Bitpanda Technology Solutions. Oliver, you are responsible for commercial, right, of the EMEA region.
That's right.
Good. Welcome very much to this podcast. My name is Lucia. I'm from Vacuumlabs, digital product builder, and we are happy to host you to discuss wealth management as a topic. Very, very exciting. So I've been following Bitpanda for the past few years, and first of all, congratulate for tremendous success. From what I read on the internet, you managed to raise more than 500 million. You have 4 million active users, and you have around 700 employees, if I'm correct, right? So
Correct.
that's mainly for the B2C solution. That's how I know Bitpanda. But recently, you also started B2B proposition, right? And I'm curious, what led you to this? Because you have huge B2C success. So why would you go to the B2B world?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Lucia, and hosting the team here in Bratislava today. Very, very excited, and I hope there's a lot of good things that we can do. Our two companies can do together. On why Bitpanda decided to do this recently. It's actually not so recent. I think it was 2 years in the making. It's probably the market does now realize that we are offering this B2B solution as well. Is a couple good reasons to do this, really. I mean, obviously Bitpanda has been in the market for 10 years. For us, it's all about scaling up. The B2C has some natural limitations unless you want to really spend crazy amounts of money on marketing and really go into all the markets. So basically what the B2B solution allows us to really partner on a super regional scale across all of Europe, potentially at some point even at a bigger scale. And I think the most important point is probably the realization of our C-levels, of our founders, that in the essence, we're really a tech company rather than a brand builder or marketing company, right? And we have the privilege of all the technology that's behind Bitpanda having built that in-house. So we own the IP, so we can very easily bring this to market and reap the benefits of the technology that was built. So it's really is a great way diversifying the company, scaling up the company, getting far bigger reach, and maybe just to share one piece of data here is you mentioned already our customer base, which is, I think we're tracking 4.7 million customers now for B2C, but the reach is far bigger with the B2B. The platform, the technology, we service over 24 million customers on that technology stack, right? That really shows and illustrates the potential of the tech solution. So this I think the branding and everything has started about little more than a year ago, Bitpanda Technology Solutions, and it's going to be a very significant pillar of the company going forward.
Yeah, amazing to see that it's already 5 times bigger than in terms of number of users. So that's great. So out of curiosity, so who would then this solution be for, right? Because you have, on one hand, I saw that you have traditional banks as a customers, but you're also serving for N26 to their customers. So who is Bitpanda Technology Solution for?
I think probably we best describe ourselves that we really like a low entry barrier investment platform that our partners can tap into. It also is worth mentioning that it spans not just across the various flavors of crypto, but also traditional assets like stocks, ETFs, commodities. And so it's basically we target anyone that really wants to create a very modern investment offering. It could be a traditional bank that might be missing that crypto piece. They will naturally have some investment offering, but not the crypto. It could be like what you mentioned, like N26 or other neo or challenger banks, who often start in the daily banking space and then want to grow into other product suites, right? And investment is a logical addition to their product setup, and that is oftentimes is not just the crypto but also the traditional assets. So it's really it really spans across incumbents, traditional banks, to neo banks, challengers, but we also do service the likes of ourselves, other crypto brokers that might not have had the capacity in the past to really self-build technology. So they are relying on partners and they might look to us for a very scalable and highly secure infrastructure. So we do work, in fact, also with other crypto brokers that are very much like ourselves, but they do appreciate the platform and the options we can give them in terms of scaling up maybe on a regional level, or also on the depths of the products. Crypto, like the coin set specifically, we do offer quite a long list of coins. So I would say I would call out these three segments: traditional banks, challenger banks, and crypto native brokers. So that is, you could say, is quite broad, but I think we're well prepared to play in that space.
Okay, understand. So we quite often talk with our clients or potential prospect about this, should you build it in-house, or, should you buy it from someone and customize it, or should you have completely out-of-the-box solution, and just be basically quick to market. So what's your opinion on this? Because you are providing technology. On top of that, you are providing license, right? So you are enabling your customers also with this. So what's your opinion on this build versus buy, maybe for some incumbent? Like, what's your recommendation there?
I mean, I would say is the usual rules apply. I mean, when we talk about software as a service, you have the same discussions of the buy versus build and what are the advantages. Probably the one thing I would call out that is even more important in our space is is talent and the specific knowledge around crypto. I mean, is probably quite difficult for a traditional bank to get the type of talent in that you would really need to build anything blockchain DeFi related. That's one thing. That's more technology. But the other piece of the industry, the segment that we are in, is all about, and specifically in Europe, is about regulations. So you might have heard that we have these new regulations coming in next year, MiCA, the markets in crypto assets in Europe, that will harmonize the crypto markets here. And it's quite some intimate knowledge that you really need to really understand and see how you really get ready to adhere to these new regulations, which are much more comprehensive than what we've seen right now. In like different countries have different regulations. They vary a lot, and some are more strict, some others less. So really navigating the regulatory landscape is something that we even see traditional banks struggling with, and where they're turning to us for advice. So it's so basically all the rules apply, buy versus build. It's basically you talking to the professionals that have delivered it before, scalable infrastructure, resourcing, etc. But that specific knowledge that you need to acquire when you enter a new market, a new product, I think it's ever more important in that space. And that's also why if you look at Bitpanda, our organization, yes, I said is we're to a large degree a tech company, so a lot of engineers, about half our staff are engineers, but there is a significant portion of our teams that are focused on regulatory and compliance topics specific to the crypto or digital assets markets.
I see. So when we spoke before, we spoke that crypto has a bit of a bad name in banking sometimes. You either love it or hate it. You are either a super fan or, completely against. That's at least how what's my feeling after having multiple discussions. So what do you think? What's the role of crypto or blockchain in banking? Like where's the space? Like what the bankers should pay attention to for the upcoming years?
I think definitely crypto is here to stay. I think regulation, and some people might find this funny, is a very good thing. We are definitely, as Bitpanda, embracing regulatory changes with MiCA, because it's really I'd almost dare to say cleaning up the landscape, right? So it's basically bad actors are being pushed out, and Bitpanda, for example, when friends ask me, so Bitpanda, are you a bank? Are you a fintech? I keep telling them we are like a quasi bank, and basically except granting loans, there's pretty much all the other products that we can provide, securities, crypto, payments, etc. So banking is, or the financial services sector is a game of trust, and a player like ourselves, Bitpanda, that actually that delivers on that trust promise, will have a very, very strong position in that market. And for crypto as an asset class, I think there is when we talk to C-suite, there's two type of business cases. Of course, there is the whole cost saving angle of it, like the CFO will talk about that, of like tokenizing. So we're not just talking cryptocurrencies, but tokenizing other asset classes like bonds, like equities, and so on. That is a pure cost play because you're not printing prospectuses anymore. You don't have to file all these documents with the clearinghouse or custodian and so on. So that's clearly what's driving a lot of the banks to adopt it. But then there's also a business case because it adds a new asset class. It's, of course, admittedly, is a higher risk asset class. But I mean, I'm a banker by training, and I mean, I learned this like in your investment, you need to like adopt like a barbell strategy. So have concentration in highly secure assets and investments, but also you need, as a mixture, you need to have some risky assets in your portfolio to generate that extra bit of yield. And clearly, we're seeing that increasingly with the banks and also the investors that are telling their banks, look, I really want to get access to crypto to become part of your investment mix, right? I mean, nobody is advocating, even we as crypto providers, nobody is advocating like putting half your money in crypto or anything like that, right? It's really it's about an additional asset class as a mix in your investment portfolio.
Well, I know that Bitpanda offers not only crypto, right? But you also offer ETFs, stocks, commodities. So you have sort of, whole portfolio that
exactly
modern investor would want.
It's almost like the mirror image of what the feedback that the banks are getting, right? The banks are getting the feedback, look, I trust you as a bank, but I'm missing that crypto piece with you, right? Can you please offer or give access to your customers, to crypto? For us, it's almost the other way around. So we naturally started with our own B2C proposition on the crypto side, while our customers kept telling us, look, I would actually do more with you if you also had traditional assets. You're like my partner of choice for everything investment. So we added those capabilities initially to the retail side of our business, to our broker. But I think one of the key pillars of our strategy is that every product we build for our own retail, we also make this available for the B2B white label solution. So we basically we are in a very comfortable position that we have access to everything that's on the product roadmap for broker is also on the product roadmap for Bitpanda Technology.
In this way, you even become this sort of innovation source for your clients, for the B2B. That's nice. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So based on the data that you see on the usage, so does your user on the B2C, on the Bitpanda customer-facing solution behave any differently compared to B2B or B2B2C users? Like if you are a customer of the bank or customer of the Bitpanda directly. So is there any?
Yes. That's definitely fair to say that is the case. I mean, naturally, the customers of ours that have signed up with the broker is more the crypto native. Yeah, tends to be the younger generation, although I think you will still be surprised that it's more like in the mid 20s, high 20s. Also, in terms of gender distribution, it's actually more balanced than people would normally think. But it's quite a rich pool of data that we now acquire with servicing also these other partners, right? I mentioned the 4.7 million customers we have ourselves and the 24 million. So naturally, and as we are growing, we get a much better distribution of the customer base. We have traditional banks like a Raiffeisen in Austria. We have challenger or neobanks like an N26. They each have different customer profiles. So as we partner with more of these, we have much better visibility in terms of what the customer behavior is across different age groups and so on. But one thing I would probably call out is definitely one of the key observations that we see is consistent between our own B2C and the B2B business is that for most of the retail investors, crypto is not just about the 2 or 3 most talked about cryptos like Bitcoin and Ether. It's really, we do see ourselves on our own broker as well as with the customers, a lot of activity in the longer list of cryptos. So, and what that tells me is really customers, people are really into crypto. They're not just buying Bitcoin because they read about this every day in the press. If you make some investment into like the tail end of the list of cryptos, my assumption clearly is that people have this on their mind and they're doing research around this, and then they're making conscious investment decisions on this. So it's the application of crypto is probably broader than what many people think. And the ratio is something to the degree that between 30 and 40% is concentrated in really probably in the top 10 most liquid, most traded coins. But that still means there is like 60 to 70% happening outside what's always been talked about in the press. Definitely on our platform.
Yeah, okay. So I would, put on the hat of let's say tier 2 or tier banker. And I've heard this sort of argument, like there is not much of a business case. That's why they prefer to stick maybe to mutual funds or, to the assets they know, because they're saying, well, what's the upside for us, right? One is that it could increase the engagement in the application or engagement with the brand. But is there any other upside? Because you are mentioning business case and we all like, if it's positive. So what's your take on this?
I mean, for sure, it's an additional product, right? So you're adding another product to your product suite, and it's definitely if you look at what kind of fee income you can generate, it should definitely be attractive enough. But I think most importantly is maybe to cite some impartial report that was published recently. There is the ADAN in France that does a yearly report on crypto adoption across all European countries, in fact. And crypto adoption is clearly growing. So that basically should tell every banker that actually customers do want it. And it's something on average like 25% across the various countries in Europe, some even higher. But there is also, when they conducted the survey, they were also asking people that if their bank would offer this, would they do it? And I think one of the key messages from this study is that people trust their bank, and if the bank would offer crypto, they would do it, right? So definitely, to me, suggests that it's the time to get into this and to really start offering this. I mean, I almost dare to say is like the banks that are moving now will have a first mover advantage. Of course, the market at some point, I'm clearly of the opinion at some point pretty much everybody will offer crypto, right? So we definitely advocate looking at it now, especially because regulation in Europe is a clear advantage compared to other parts of the world, right? I mean, the US doesn't have a regulation yet. So no, I think we're in quite a good space here, and it's clearly when we're having discussions with customers, I do totally accept it's a very serious strategic discussion, and that also means we mostly get to speak to really like the C-levels because they would need to endorse that decision and to really decide on the investment in that space.
Mm-hmm. Understand. So, and if we imagine, let's say, like, okay, so we get the whole board on board with this idea, they want to do digital wealth management. So what should I imagine as a potential client of Bitpanda Technology Solutions? So would it take 6 months, 12 months, 2 years? So what does it take for me to launch such a proposition to my clients or to my market?
Yeah, actually, similar to my earlier comment. I would say the challenges are not so much in the technology piece. I mean, obviously, we do the platform we offer is we tend to offer it in a very standardized way. So the technical implementation is reasonably straightforward. What we tend to see is that most of the work actually goes again into the regulatory compliance piece. It is important, like I said, that this becomes like a regulated business, and to really have the same procedures applied to crypto that you apply to any other financial services. So with transaction screening, declaration of source of funds, where do your funds come from, etc. And that's where we spend the most amount of time aligning with our partners in terms of like they obviously own the customer. but basically it becomes a shared customer when we come in with our crypto proposition, because we offer the crypto product. So that basically we align around the compliance of what becomes the shared customer, so that we adhere to the same standards. Bitpanda adheres to the highest standards in that regard when it comes to KYC. That's one thing that really takes a lot of time. If you look at I think on average we're probably deployment or until go live 4 to 6 months. I think it's definitely something that we've done on a good number of occasions. But I would say it's probably one of the sprints in this is like a 2-3 months alignment on all the compliance procedures to really make sure that the shared customer, for example, we can have KYC reliance on the partners, on the banks KYC, or that we find like a suitable way to enrich the compliance data by certain data points that we need that are crypto specific, and also helping or educating our partners around what is different when it comes to crypto regulations and crypto processes. So it's not so much the technical integration. We are an API first platform. We can integrate via REST APIs or webhooks. That's all technically very straightforward. I think the complication is more in the compliance and KYC side of things.
That's interesting. I would assume before we spoke that it's going to be more about the tech and how to integrate the new tech to existing banking systems. But now talking about regulation, and you also told me how many countries you can cover. So that's interesting. That most of that time that you speak to customers spend on the regulation, or quite a big portion of it.
I mean, of course, having said that, that requires also that we can plug into a platform of the partner that is suitable to really consume APIs, etc. Right? So that the complication could come from there. But really, the ambition is to really have a very much out of the box with not a huge amount of configuration required when we deploy our solution. There will always be local flavors. You mentioned countries and regulations. There are certain things. Tax reporting is always of course, it's very specific to the local jurisdiction. These kind of things do take up some time as well. But again, the tech piece is hopefully, and that's part of our promise, which is the least headache for any of our partners.
Yeah. So I had a couple of discussions with various people from financial services where they were a bit afraid of reputational risk connected with crypto. And there is always this possibility of creating sort of separate brand, or separate application, separate interface for customers, and potentially that could even lead to acquisition of new from other competition that doesn't offer this modern wealth management. So what's your maybe take on doing it as a part of existing brand, existing interface, as existing mobile banking versus being more of a maybe experimental and launching something on the side with potentially even separate brand or a bit of different flavor?
If I look at our partners, I think we have seen both. So we do have partners that have a spin-off for the investment proposition. We do have partners like a Raiffeisen, very traditional bank in Austria, that do it under their very existing brand. Is not upon us to advise in terms of how you separate this. But if you ask me personally, I would say I would tend to go for it's the kind of customer interaction that you want to create. If you want to create something a very modern investment experience, the crypto and traditional assets should go alongside each other, right? Shouldn't be separated. Should only be separated for the reason that maybe that spin-off challenger type proposition serves a different clientele than your traditional bricks and mortars branch driven type of business. But we've seen both, and both successful basically.
I see. So you mentioned also that that Bitpanda has been around for quite some time, right? And in the recent years, especially after COVID, we have a different macroeconomic environment, right? We have higher inflation rate, higher interest rate on the mortgages. Housing is less affordable. So do you see any sort of any change in the behavior of your consumers, of your users? It can be also on the Bitpanda B2C solution, but was there any change in recent years in terms of behavior?
Probably what I would say is, and maybe a slightly different way to answer the question is definitely, I think this is what's actually why we having these discussions with partners for like talking around the adoption of crypto is like banks or any financial services company will, in the current environment, ever more try to grow their fee-driven business rather the interest-driven business, given where interest rates are, right? So then crypto becomes a logical extension of any of your fee-driven business, of your commission-type business, stocks, investment products generally, and then crypto, right? So, I mean, take for example the challenger banks that do exist everywhere here in continental Europe, in the UK, everywhere. I think they all started around a core proposition of like transactional banking, and then they expanded like at that time 2-3 years ago before like all the rate hikes, expanded into loans or even buy now pay later business. That business is no longer attractive, so that is the reason for them now actively considering to create an investment proposition alongside their core, the captive transactional business, right? So that goes to show that there is a real requirement for that investment business. In terms of the actual consumer behavior, I mean, I also have to admit, I mean, that of course the crypto business is a very cyclical business, like any other investment business. I mean, stocks are cyclical, so is crypto. You probably heard about the recent Bitcoin halving. I mean, what Bitcoin ETFs have done to the sentiment, right? So right now we're in a very positive environment and sentiment, and we tend to see that like the investment amounts tend to go up across both our own broker as well as our partners.
Yeah, I have many friends that started to ask me, so what should I do with my money, because my bank either doesn't offer anything, or they offer this very small percentage that you need to lock your money for at least 12 months. So people are looking for something a bit more that can be providing a bit more liquidity if you need it, so you can just close the investment, but at the same time get nice returns. So I always get this question. So what do I do? As a young person, I know I have 500 euros in the end of my month. What should I do now, right? And I see like a lot of demand for applications like yours, where you can actually play around with it yourself, but you also need to know that it's secure, right? You need to have that trust. So.
Exactly. But I think one important piece you mentioned there, and is I would almost like even put this discussion wider. It's about like financial inclusion, right? So basically making these investment products accessible to like a broader set of customers. That's the nice thing about crypto or digital assets or blockchain technology. Is very easy to fractionalize, right? So if you tokenize any asset, you can easily fractionalize it. We probably all heard about like that art is being fractionalized or other form of investments. We also adopted this approach for our other investment products. So we've also you find on our platform fractionalize stocks and ETFs, and basically what it does is basically allowing people to really access these type of products and make investments starting from €1, right? That is something that previously was not necessarily possible, right? That you needed to buy one whatever Nvidia share, which is already a couple of hundreds euros, right? Basically, if you can buy a fraction, it just makes it available to just a broader group of investors and people. So that's I think that's really one of the benefits there. And of course, I mean the other piece is is around, you said, security, right? So that you invest with somebody that really keeps your assets safe. Maybe, and again, specifically answering this with like the crypto regulations that are coming in there. That is a significant change because it basically stipulates a right, an access right for the investor to your crypto coins, right? So that basically it is preventing that FTX case that basically people just run away with your coins and there is nothing left in your custody, right? So basically, as a regulated custodian, we're required to basically grant access anytime to the investor because we just hold these assets in trusteeship, and it always remains the right of the customer to get access to the coins. I think that's a huge advantage that we will all enjoy in Europe compared to other countries.
So if I get it correctly, so as a consumer, my money is safe even if you went bankrupt or something happens, my money is safe because of the regulation.
Exactly, okay. Because it's completely legally, physically, everything segregated from any assets that Bitpanda hold, right? So it's basically if in the highly unlikely event that something happened to Bitpanda, it basically gives full access rights to the investor, and that's a different proposition or promise to the customer than like your average crypto exchange out there that is not regulated, and you don't know where to get your funds back from.
Definitely. I wanted to ask this because I get a lot of times people are afraid to do this, but I know that you are heavily regulated, you have a huge compliance team, so you really pay attention to this. So that's why I want to ask very plainly, so our listeners get it.
Really, I think you will find out to talking to anybody at Bitpanda, that's very much in our DNA. That is really we talk about this Bitpanda technology about the tech piece, but it's really coupled with that strong regulatory angle, right? That will basically be the red thread throughout any discussion we're having with partners.
Yeah. That's also why I think you are the right partner for banks, because you have this in your heart and in your DNA. So maybe last question, Oliver. Do you have any trend in fintech currently that excites you personally?
Well, maybe not so specific in fintech, or it's very broad. So my background myself is like I'm a traditional banker. So I used to work in a bank on the trading floor. So very much they call us like the TradFi guys, so the traditional finance guys. And I really enjoy this whole notion of traditional finance and decentralized finance coming together. You will see, and you've also met some of my team, right? So that we have really a good mix of people coming from the traditional background, because we need to bring the people that are used to traditional finance instruments into the world of DeFi and blockchain, and of course all these very advanced people that are crypto natives and have been in the crypto space for 10 plus years, right? I mean, I myself, I have to admit, I'm probably not as long in crypto as many of my colleagues, but I can really see this movement of traditional finance and decentralized finance coming together. And that basically, for me, is the future. It's basically the DeFi players, the crypto players will have to become more like banks, and the banks will have to become more like crypto players or DeFi players. And that's what I see, and that's agnostic to like what technology it is, what chains it is. It's, I think, really that overarching theme of the two worlds coming together.
Okay. It reminded me that you said like now it's the time to act, to get this first mover advantage because of the regulation. So I encourage our listeners and banks to do that and to have talks with you how to implement digital wealth management solution, definitely. So Oliver, thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for coming here to our HQ and talking to us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Lucia. Really, really enjoyed it, and happy to have these conversations anytime, because we really feel like we need to advocate these topics. And looking forward to another discussion then.
Thank you.